You already know how this dinner ends. You've seen it play out 100 times. Maybe not this exact script, but the same bitter tone, the same tight smiles, the same slow build of heat in your chest, while everyone else pretends nothing's wrong. The roast chicken is still steaming in the center of the table. Candles flicker like they're holding their breath. Your mother folds her napkin precisely a signal. It always starts with her. "So, what are you doing with yourself these days?" she says with that practiced, airy curiosity. It sounds like interest if you don't know her. You do. Before you can answer, your father chuckles. "Still chasing that little computer thing," he means the startup. He always says it like that, little. Your brother Jordan smiles with his mouth closed. His arm rests behind his fiancée Taylor, who has that too bright, too careful expression of someone trying not to drown in family politics. You stare at your plate. Say it plain, you tell yourself. But what's the point? You know they've already made up their minds. "I'm working," you say, simply for the 100th time. "Still running the company." "Company," your mother echoes, slicing the word like fruit. "Well, it's good you've got something. Not everyone's meant for real careers, I suppose." Your hand tightens around the fork. Every word is sugar-coated venom. It's not new. You've heard worse. What's new is how Jordan jumps in not to defend you, but to brag about his recent promotion. "I'm presenting at the national conference this year," he says, brushing invisible lint off his sleeve. "Management asked me personally." The room nods like he's just announced world peace. You sip your water. Cold. Sharp. It gives you something to do while they celebrate him like he's made of gold. Your mother beams. "That's what I'm talking about. See, Jordan's got direction. Ambition. He didn't just sit around tinkering with some website. That one hits. You let it hit. You let it burn quietly inside you because reacting never works. They love your silence. It makes their righteousness echo louder." Taylor watches you with an expression you can't quite read. You look away. Then your dad leans forward. "You know we worry about you." He says like it's an act of love. "You're smart, maybe not in the traditional sense, but you've got potential. Maybe it's time to think about something stable. A job with benefits. A team." You don't say it, but your company has a team. A good one. You've been paying their salaries for 2 years now. Health benefits, retirement matches. Hell, 2 of them just bought houses. But to them, none of that matters unless they've heard of it, unless it showed up in a magazine on their coffee table. Your mother clucks her tongue. "It's just sad, you know, to see you waste your life when you could be doing something." And there it is. The word that seals the whole thing shut. Disgrace. It isn't shouted. That would be too honest. It's implied in the way she looks at you, like you've failed her personally. Like your lack of conventional success is a betrayal. You swallow. You've been here before. The part that stings isn't the dismissal, it's how casual they are about it. As if you were supposed to just accept your role as the family disappointment. As if love was always going to be conditional. But you smile. It's a smile you've practiced for years. Polite, hollow. The one you wear when you want the conversation to end. "I'm doing fine," you say. They don't believe you. The table shifts back to Jordan. Your mother asks Taylor how they met. She giggles and talks about the first date, the pasta place, the way Jordan insisted on paying. You nod when appropriate. You've become good at disappearing in a room full of people who claim to love you. It's just noise now, silverware scraping, porcelain, clinking glasses, murmurs of admiration for Jordan's plans. You look at him and try to remember the last time he asked you anything about your life. You come up blank. A breeze slips through the open window. It smells like rain, distant and quiet. You lean back in your chair, arms folded across your chest, and let your eyes drift across the table. For a split second, Taylor is looking at you again, not with pity, not with politeness, but with something sharper. Curiosity. It's the first time all night someone actually seems to see you. But it passes. The conversation picks up again and you disappear behind it like wallpaper. Still, a little flicker stays with you. Just a look. Just one look from someone who doesn't know what box to put you in. Maybe that's the beginning of something. You go home that night with the kind of silence that isn't peaceful, it's buzzing. There's no music on during the drive, no podcast, not even traffic. Just the soft hum of the tires and the roar in your chest, like every unspoken thing is now echoing off your ribs. Your apartment is still warm from the sun that slipped through the windows all day. You don't turn the lights on. You just toss your keys into the bowl by the door, kick off your shoes, and sit down on the floor like someone unplugged you. This is where the real story starts, not at the dinner table, but here in the quiet of your living room, where you've built your entire world from scratch. They don't know it, but the reason you always come home early, the reason you skip family vacations, the reason you stay up until 3 a.m. most nights, is because you're building something. You started the company 2 years ago after your last job let you go. No warning, no severance, just a cold Zoom call and an HR email with next steps in the subject line. You remember sitting on your bathroom floor that night holding your phone in your hand like it was a grenade. You didn't cry. You just stared. Stared at the spot on the wall where the paint bubbled a little from a leak they never fixed. You could have updated your resume. You could have sent out those hope you're well emails to people you didn't like. But something inside you snapped in a way that didn't feel like breaking. It felt like opening. You'd always had ideas. Back-end tools that cut dev time in half. Cleaner analytics dashboards. A scheduling interface that didn't feel like it was built in 2003. You were the person other people asked for quick help when their projects were tanking. So you stopped waiting. You bought a domain name the next day. You coded until your eyes hurt. You didn't eat right. You drank too much coffee. You slept 3 hours a night. You sold your guitar to pay for a software license. You turned down every Friday night hangout with the 2 friends you still had left. You didn't tell your family because why would you? To them, unless there's a boss signing your check, it's not a job. It's a phase, a distraction, an excuse. But now you've got 12 employees, a team you handpicked, trained, and protected. You've got clients. You've got traction. Your last quarter was profitable. Barely, but it was. And no one at that dinner table knows a single thing about it. You thought you didn't care. That proving anything to them was beneath you. But that dinner peeled back a layer you didn't want to see. It's not that you want their validation. You just wanted them to ask. You wanted anyone to notice that you haven't needed help, that you've been holding the weight alone, and somehow didn't crumble. Instead, they treat you like you've gone off course, like you've wasted the gifts they still think they gave you. You stand up and stretch. Your body's tired in that way that sleep won't fix. You head into the office, a tiny spare room that smells like old books and ambition. Screens light up. One shows your code base. Another has Slack, where your team in Singapore just submitted a new feature update. They're celebrating in emoji. You smile. You open your dashboard. Numbers. Growth curves. New signups. Feedback from a major user who said your product changed how we work. You take a screenshot. Not to send. Just to remind yourself tomorrow that you're not making this up. That it's real. You scroll through your inbox. Investor interest. Nothing serious yet, but promising. A beta user asking about custom integration. A job application from someone you've never met who heard about your company from someone else. You wonder what your father would say if he saw this. Probably nothing. You wonder if your brother would even understand it. Then you think about Taylor. The look she gave you. It wasn't shock. It was something else. Recognition, maybe. You check LinkedIn, half curious, half annoyed at yourself. Taylor's profile is surprisingly lean: background in nonprofit marketing, a side interest in startups. You squint at one line in her bio. Fascinated by companies solving problems people don't even know they have yet. You lean back. It's vague, but weirdly familiar. And for the first time in a long time, you let yourself think something you usually shove aside. What if someone in that room actually sees me? Not the version they've invented, not the disappointment, just you. It's a ridiculous thought, But you let it sit there anyway, like a seed that doesn't care if it ever grows. The clock on your screen hits 2:11 a.m. You close the laptop, the room still pulsing with low light. You whisper something you haven't said out loud in years. I'm doing fine. And this time, it almost feels true. Your phone buzzes, the next morning screen flashing with a message from your cousin. Rough night heard. Aunt Clara went in hard LOL. You stare at it for a moment, thumb hovering. Then you swipe it away and let the screen go black. That's the thing everyone hears. No one asks. No one ever calls just to check on you. No one wonders why you always leave family events early or why you haven't posted anything in over a year. Your silence doesn't worry them, it just makes space for louder people. You think about all the times you've showed up. Birthdays, graduations, moving days. You lugged boxes, held crying babies, snapped photos so others could be in them. You showed up even when you didn't have the energy to, because that's what love is, right? But love in your family is a transaction, and if you're not delivering something they can admire, then you're just background. There's a moment you remember clearer than most. A few years ago, your sister's wedding. You were sitting on the edge of the reception nursing a drink that tasted like melted candy when Jordan came over and asked if you could run and grab the backup flash drive with the DJ's playlist on it. You did without thinking. You always do. And you remember watching the party through the window as you walked back. No one noticed you were gone. No one looked for you. That night, they toasted your brother's help organizing the whole thing. Your name wasn't mentioned once. You told yourself it didn't matter, that you didn't care. But it left a mark. You don't blame them, not really. People see what they want. They love what's familiar. They gravitate toward the story that feels easiest to retell. And you're the quiet one, the quirky one, the one with a million projects and no clear path, the one who's always just around. You open your laptop again, not because you're ready to work, but because you need a reminder that you exist outside of their perception. There's a new email from Marcus, your lead engineer. We pushed the new update. Early feedback's good. Want me to start the demo deck? You type back, yeah. Let's make it clean. Focus on the time-saved metric. Everyone loves saved time. You reread the message before sending it. It's short, direct, confident. It feels like slipping into your real skin again. Your team knows who you are. They don't care what your family thinks. They don't even know the word disgrace could be attached to you. To them, you're the person who kept the lights on through a funding drought. The person who debugged the billing system overnight so your clients didn't notice the glitch. The one who sent out mental health resources last year when one of the team members stopped showing up to meetings. That's the difference. You don't need to be the hero in their story. You just don't want to be erased. A Slack ping pops up, someone dropped a meme in the general chat. It's dumb and hilarious and has nothing to do with work. You smile. Then the phone buzzes again. This time it's your mom. Just a text. Hope you're okay. You were quiet last night. You stare at it, reread it, and then reread it again. She didn't ask why you were quiet. Didn't ask how you are. Just a passive note of observation, like she noticed the weather had changed slightly. You think about replying. You almost do. Instead, you mark it as unread and set the phone down. This, too, is a kind of boundary. Outside, the sun slices through the blinds in clean golden lines. The light feels honest. You get up, stretch, and walk to the kitchen to make something food you don't really want, but the ritual of preparation helps. Toast, coffee, a banana you'll forget to eat. While the kettle boils, your mind drifts back to Taylor. Her expression from last night, it's starting to loop in your head like a scene from a movie. That exact second she turned to you, brow furrowed, lips parted just slightly, and said, "Wait, are you the CEO of that company?" You'd barely answered. Everyone had started talking over her. But she'd looked at you like she already knew. And not just about your company. She looked like someone who saw through the costume your family stuffed you into and recognized what was underneath. Not pity, not shock, but something like admiration. It makes your stomach twist. Not in the bad way. in the way that comes right before something big happens. And now you can't stop wondering, what does she know? Because for someone like her engaged to someone like Jordan, you'd think she'd already bought the story your family was selling. But maybe not. You glance at your phone again. Still no follow-up from your mom. No missed calls. No one else checking in. And yet somehow it feels less lonely than it used to, because something small has shifted. You don't know what it is yet, but it's moving. And you're done waiting for someone to notice. The engagement party invitation had been sitting on your desk for a week before you even opened it. Heavy cardstock, gold trim, your name handwritten in careful cursive as if they wanted to trick you into believing this was personal. It wasn't. It was obligatory. You almost didn't go. You rehearsed your excuses, product launch delays, investor meetings, maybe a short trip. Something vague and untouchable. But something stopped you. Maybe it was stubbornness. Maybe you were tired of always being the one who backed out. Or maybe it was just that flicker you'd caught in Taylor's eyes at dinner. Curiosity. Recognition. You hadn't forgotten it. You arrive 15 minutes late, which is exactly enough to avoid the awkward first guest energy, but still be seen. The venue is a renovated greenhouse. Chic. Minimal. Designed for Instagram stories and filtered family portraits. You step inside and the temperature shifts not the air but the atmosphere. It's subtle like static you only notice when you brush past it. People look at you, then look away. You're not part of the center orbit. You're the echo. Your mother waves you over. Her eyes skim your outfit. She doesn't say anything, but you see it, the mental note, the quiet inventory of what you should have worn. "Glad you made it," she says, voice tight with restraint. Jordan was worried. You smile. Pretty sure Jordan didn't notice. Her expression twitches. Maybe she's remembering the last time you talked about something other than the weather. Maybe not. You move away before she can fill the air with more unspoken disappointment. The room is full of people you recognize in fragments. Family friends, Jordan's college pals, aunts and uncles who never quite learned how to look at you. You make polite nods, soft eye contact, nothing more. Then you see Taylor. She's standing near the back, talking with someone who looks like a brand consultant, glossy smile, crisp posture. Taylor's laughing politely, but the moment she sees you, something shifts. She excuses herself and walks straight toward you. And then, just loud enough to hush the noise around you, she says, "Wait, I meant to ask you, are you the CEO of Glypher Analytics?" It's not even a dramatic moment. She says it like someone confirming a rumor, like she needs to be sure before she lets her surprise show. You blink. Yes, you say. For a breath, the party keeps going around you. And then the energy shifts. You don't know who heard her. Maybe it was the volume, or maybe it was the fact that someone finally said something about you. But heads begin to turn. Taylor's eyes light up, not the polite kind, the real kind. Like someone just handed her the final piece to a puzzle that had been bothering her. "I knew it," she says, half laughing. "I saw your product demo last year. I was at the Startup Expo sitting in the third row. You talked about streamlining user behavior tracking across teams. That was you." You nod slowly because for the first time in a long time you're not quite sure what to say. She looks genuinely thrilled. "Your platform solved one of our biggest pain points at the nonprofit I worked for. I raved about it for months. I didn't connect the name until just now." You try to smile. You manage half of one. But the room is watching now. You can feel it in the side glances, the way conversations die off mid-sentence. Your father is frozen by the drink table. Your mother's fingers grip the stem of her wine glass just a little too tightly. Jordan looks confused. He walks up beside Taylor. "What's going on?" he asks her, glancing between the two of you. She turns, still smiling. "You didn't tell me your sibling founded Glypher. That company is amazing." There's a beat. Long enough for discomfort to crawl in. "I didn't know," Jordan says. That moment is the crack, the split in the facade. You see it on your mother's face, trying to keep her smile from sliding. You see it in your father's posture, still like he's been caught listening to something he wasn't supposed to hear. And Taylor just keeps talking, oblivious to the chaos she's causing. Well, you have to tell me more later, she says to you. Seriously, that presentation was brilliant. You made Data feel alive. You nod. Quiet. Still. Trying to process what it feels like to be seen and named like this in the same room where you've always been invisible. Taylor turns back to Jordan, already slipping back into party mode. You excuse yourself to the balcony. You need air. Out here, the noise is dulled. The world tilts slightly, not from wine, but from the weight of what just happened. Your family just learned who you are, not the version they painted, but the one that's real. And not because you told them, because someone else did. It should feel like victory. It doesn't. It feels like too much. You grip the railing. The wood is cold under your palms. The breeze is a relief. But under it all, there's something quieter rising up. Maybe it's anger. Or maybe, finally, it's relief. You stay out on the balcony longer than you probably should, letting the sound of clinking glasses and muted laughter wash over you like a tide you no longer have to swim in. It's strange how quickly the roles shift. How fast a room full of people can pivot when the script changes. You were the ghost at the party. Now you're the headline. When you step back inside, you feel it instantly, the heat of attention. Not loud or obvious, no one's running up to you with hugs or wide-eyed congratulations, but their eyes follow you now. Their smiles last a second longer. Some don't quite know what to say, so they say nothing. But the energy? It's different. You make your way to the drink table. Jordan's there, pouring himself a whiskey. He looks up when you approach, then looks away like he's been caught. So, he says after a beat, you're the big tech genius now. You raise an eyebrow. I've always been doing the same thing. He huffs a little laugh, but it's not amused. It's forced. You never said it was that company. You never asked. That lands harder than you expected. He shifts, runs a hand through his hair like he suddenly can't get comfortable in his own skin. He looks at you, then really looks at you, for the first time in years. I guess I just thought you were still figuring things out. You tilt your head. I was. While building a multi-million-dollar product. Silence. He nods, swallows his pride like it's jagged glass. Taylor's impressed. You glance across the room. She's talking to one of the party planners, but every so often her eyes drift toward you again. She's smart, you say. He watches you for a moment, then says quietly, you know, sometimes it felt like Mom and Dad just kind of gave up on you. Thought you'd grow out of your weird phase. Building something alone for 2 years wasn't a phase. He nods again, but slower now. He's not defensive anymore, just awkward. Like someone discovering the truth too late. They always made it sound like you weren't doing anything real. You take a sip of sparkling water. Real is funny that way. It usually becomes real the second other people say it is. He laughs at that. A short, tired sound. Guess you were real this whole time. You shrug. You're not here to rub it in. You're not here for some dramatic comeuppance. But still, there's something satisfying in the way he stands a little smaller now. Not because you want to belittle him, just because, for once, the scale has balanced. You excuse yourself before the conversation turns weird. You don't need a brotherly heart-to-heart. You just needed him to know. And he does now. As you move through the crowd, people begin to intercept you. Small talk at first. An aunt who's never said more than 2 words to you. So proud of you. You must be doing well now, huh? A cousin who once joked that you'd never move out of your apartment. I always knew you were good with computers. Even your mother approaches her tone light, like none of this is strange to her. You should have told us about your little business. We could have helped. You look at her. Really look. And for the first time in your adult life, you don't feel the need to make her comfortable. It's not little. And I didn't tell you because you weren't listening. Her smile falters. Just a flicker. Then she puts a hand on your shoulder, squeezes once, and says, well, we're all so happy for you. You don't answer. You just give her the same kind of smile she's given you for years, pleasant, hollow, non-committal. The party drags on. The lights get softer, the conversation's looser. Jordan is surrounded by his friends again, laughing a little too loudly. But Taylor, she's moving toward you. You okay? She asks quietly once you're both tucked away near the hors d'oeuvres. You nod. Better than I thought I'd be. You didn't expect me to say something, did you? You pause. No. But you're glad I did. You consider it. I didn't think anyone in that room knew who I was. I'm not used to being visible. She smiles soft, but knowing. I remembered your name from the presenter sheet. I didn't put it together until last night. It just stuck with me. The way you explained things. You made people feel smart without talking down to them. That hits something deep. Something untouched by all the superficial praise floating around tonight. Most people don't notice that you say. I notice things, she replies. It's not flirtatious, it's not even intimate, but it's genuine. And it's the first thing anyone's said to you tonight that doesn't feel like a performance. You take a deep breath. The party is still going, but it feels far away now, like noise from a neighboring room. Taylor tilts her head. Do you regret coming? You look around. At the dim glow of chandeliers. At the suddenly quieter faces. At your family now tiptoeing around you like you're a guest of honor they didn't prepare for. No, you say. Because something cracked tonight. And through it you saw daylight. You don't leave the party early this time. You stay. Not out of politeness, but because for once you're not shrinking into a corner. You're not fading behind someone else's spotlight. You're simply here. Taylor drifts away again, whisked into a conversation circle with extended family and friends, but not before giving you a look. A kind of mental sticky note, this isn't over. And now you can feel the aftershock setting in. Your family doesn't know how to recalibrate around you. You can see it in how they glance your way, but don't approach. In how your father keeps starting conversations, then cutting them short if you get too close. In how your mother laughs a little too loud too often. They're recalculating. Your existence no longer fits the box they've kept you in. That box is breaking down, and they don't know where to put you now. You grab a drink, something mild, and find a quiet corner by the decorative string lights. The hum of conversation floats around you no longer, a pressure, just atmosphere. And then come the questions. Not from your family, but from the party guests they invited. A man in a navy suit, early 40s, leans in with interest. You're the founder of Glypher, right? I heard Taylor mention it earlier. You nod. I'm in logistics, he continues. We've been struggling with tracking multi-platform conversion data. Your system, does it support that? You blink. You weren't expecting this here. It does, you reply. Real time, actually. We built an API layer specifically for that use case. His eyes light up. Could I grab your card? You don't carry business cards. Haven't for years. You offer your email instead, and suddenly you're networking at your brother's engagement party. 2 more people approach you after that. One works in education tech, another in retail marketing. They all heard the same thing from Taylor. They all have problems they want to solve. And now, you're not the failed sibling anymore. You're a resource. A leader. A someone. Funny, isn't it? How fast the narrative changes once you're valuable. You handle it gracefully. You answer questions. Offer thoughts. You even write something down for a woman using the back of a napkin. But it's not pride you feel. It's not even satisfaction. It's detachment. Because now you see the entire framework for what it is. Your value in this room has always depended on your utility. When you were struggling in silence, you were a disappointment. Now that you're thriving and people can see it, you're relevant. It's not love. It's economics. Your mother brushes past you on her way to the dessert table. She gives you a quick smile, one that wants to be warm, but flickers with uncertainty. You know that look. She's proud, yes, but also confused, maybe even embarrassed. Because deep down she knows she misread you. You were never the disgrace. She just couldn't see who you were without a label to stick on it. You watch her from a distance as she speaks to a friend of hers, gesturing subtly toward you. Her voice is low, but you catch a few words. Started his own company, actually. Doing quite well. Always knew he had something in him. That last part makes you laugh under your breath. Always knew. She didn't. But maybe she wants to now. Maybe that's a start. Your father never approaches you directly, but you notice him watching you from across the room more than once. He's got that unreadable face on like he's solving a puzzle and doesn't like the answer. You don't offer him an opening. You're not interested in giving him a script to follow. And Jordan, he floats through the party like someone trying to maintain control of a narrative that's slipping through his fingers. He smiles when people praise Taylor's insightful fiancé. He nods when they ask about the wedding. But you can see the shadow in his eyes when he watches you now. For the first time, he doesn't know how to one-up you, because there's nothing performative about what you've built. No trophy to hold up, no title someone handed you. You did it quietly, in the dark, without applause. And somehow that's louder than anything else tonight. Later, Taylor finds you again. She leans on the railing beside you as the room starts to thin out. They don't know how to talk to you now, do they? You chuckle. Not really. They'll adjust. Maybe. She studies your face for a moment. Then, in a voice that doesn't pretend to be anything but sincere, she says, "I'm glad I said something." You nod. Me too. Silence settles between you, but it's not awkward. It's comfortable. I meant what I said earlier, she adds. You made Data feel like something alive. That stuck with me. Funny. Most people just call it boring. She smiles. That's the thing. You didn't try to make it entertaining. You made it matter. And in that moment, something shifts inside you. Not because someone finally sees you, but because you finally believe you can be seen. You glance back at the room. The lights are dimmer now. The music softer. The party winding down. You stayed. You didn't fade. You didn't break. They learned who you are tonight, but more importantly, so did you. You don't remember driving home. Not in a dangerous way, just in the way that happens when something monumental cracks open inside you and your body runs on instinct. One hand on the wheel, windows down, cool air brushing your skin like an old friend who doesn't ask questions. The city moves past you in streaks of yellow light and sleepy storefronts. You let it blur. You park, climb the stairs to your apartment. The doorknob feels familiar, grounding. You step inside and everything is just as you left it. Laptop asleep. Kitchen light, still on the subtle hum of your old fridge breaking the silence. You kick your shoes off and stand there. Something inside you wants to cry. Not from sadness, from pressure. Like you've been holding a breath for 5 years and your lungs are just now remembering what air feels like. You sit on the couch and fold forward, elbows on knees, head in hands. All the noise of the night swirls around in your mind. Taylor's voice, your mother's strained smile, the sudden shift in everyone's eyes when the word CEO left her mouth. You should feel triumphant. You don't. Because before the recognition there was the reality. And the reality, you almost didn't make it. You remember the nights you lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering if the rent would clear, wondering if the people you hired would still trust you in a month, wondering if anyone would ever know how hard you fought to keep the lights on, how many times you whispered to yourself, just one more day. Don't quit today. Quit tomorrow if you have to. You think about the meals you skipped to pay a server bill, the birthdays you missed because you were too tired to pretend you were okay, the holidays you spent in silence because pretending to be fine in front of your family felt like betrayal. No one saw that part. No one asked. They just assumed you were drifting, that you'd lost your way. But you weren't lost. You were surviving. And now, standing in the wreckage of their assumptions, you're left with a strange ache, not for their approval, but for the time you spent trying to earn it. Your phone buzzes. A text. Taylor, thanks for not disappearing tonight. I know that couldn't have been easy. You stare at it for a while. Then slowly you type back, thanks for seeing me. You set the phone down, but your chest stays tight. Not painful, just full, like there's still something that needs to come out. You open your laptop. Not to work. Just to be near it. This machine. This quiet witness to everything they'll never understand. It was here when you were broke. It was here when you were broken. It's still here. You pull up a folder buried deep in your files. Early demos. You double-click a video you haven't watched in over a year. It opens with your voice nervous, shaky. Your face is thinner. Your eyes more tired. You're explaining the vision behind Glyphor in a flat beige room with terrible lighting. But you're trying. You're believing in something when no one else does. You watch it all. And at the end, you whisper to the screen, "You were right to keep going." It's not about them. It never was. This was never a story about revenge. Not really. It's about remembering your own worth before someone else decides what it's worth to them. You close the laptop, sit back, breathe. That feeling in your chest, it's starting to loosen. Just a little. You don't need them to say sorry, but you do wish they'd asked what it cost. The party ended, but something else began. Not with confetti or fireworks, not with applause or recognition, but with a quiet, private knowing. A kind of peace that doesn't come from proving anyone wrong, but from no longer needing to. Because now you understand the weight you carried wasn't just the work. It was the silence, the years of trying to be seen by people who never looked up, the hollow laughs, the practiced nods, the questions no one ever asked, and yet you kept going. You did the hard thing, the invisible thing, the unglamorous, backbending late-night thing that no one claps for. You built a life not for approval, but because you had to. Because it was the only way you knew how to stay honest with yourself. Now they know. But more importantly, you do. You sit still for a while longer, letting the air settle, letting your name stretch out in your chest until it finally fits. Not a title, not a label, just you. The you that survived all of it. The you who doesn't need to explain anymore. Outside, the city softens into shadow. The night folds over everything. You watch it without hurry. Some nights, just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.